Concerns over Joe Biden's performance in the first U.S. presidential debate. Increase in duty-free allowance for mainland shoppers coming to Hong Kong and Macau. The Tourism Board will hand out vouchers worth more than $100 million to overnight visitors. Hello and welcome to TVB News. The first debate of the 2024 U.S. presidential election took place in Atlanta, Georgia this morning, Hong Kong time. President Joe Biden faced off with Donald Trump, the first time a sitting president debated a former president. The early part of the debate was difficult for Biden. The 81-year-old seemed to struggle at times with his campaign, saying he was suffering from a cold. Trump, 78, appeared sharper but relied on several falsehoods in his arguments. Nazvi Karim has more.
President of the United States, Joe Biden. Donald Trump.
Things did not start well for U.S. President Joe Biden in his debate with former President Donald Trump. This answer to a question about rising prices.
We're able to make every single solitary person eligible for what I've been able to do with the COVID.
Trump looking at him glumly.
We finally beat Medicare.
But he got stronger as it went on, telling off Trump for alleged past comments which described some of the U.S. military as losers.
He said, I don't want to go in there because they're a bunch of losers and suckers. My son was not a loser, was not a sucker. You're the sucker. You're the loser.
Trump countered.
First of all, that was a made-up quote, suckers and losers. They made it up. It was in a third-rate magazine.
The two sparred over a number of issues, the economy being one of the hot topics. Biden accused Trump of leaving him an economy in free fall when he took office in 2020 after a mishandled COVID pandemic. Trump disagreed.
We had the greatest economy in the history of our country. We have never done so well. Everybody was amazed by it. Other countries were copying us. We got hit with COVID. And when we did, we spent the money necessary so we wouldn't end up in a Great Depression, the likes of which we had in 1929.
Trump was also adept at skipping issues, deviating when responding to Biden's accusations that he would exonerate those involved in the January 6th riots.
On January 6th, we had a great border. Nobody coming through, very few. On January 6th, we were energy independent. On January 6th, we had the lowest taxes ever. We had the lowest regulations ever. On January 6th, we were respected all over the world. All over the world, we were respected. And then he comes in, and we're now laughed at.
Trump was also asked if he would accept the results of the 2024 election.
If it's a fair and legal and good election, absolutely. I would have much rather accepted these, but the fraud and everything else was ridiculous.
At the end, reports suggest that Democrats were concerned amid talk that Biden should step aside in favor of a younger, more vibrant candidate. Addressing supporters after the debate, Biden appeared determined, accusing Trump of lying.
Look, folks, what's going to happen over the next couple of days is they're going to be out there fact-checking all the things he said. I can't think of one thing he said that was true.
Nazvi Karim, TVB News.
Some polls have shown Donald Trump did better in the debate, but many reactions focused on who struggled more. And according to one analyst, President Joe Biden certainly came off as weaker in the CNN-hosted debate, especially in the first 20 minutes. His performance appeared to overshadow Donald Trump's tendency to deflect questions and state falsehoods. Nazvi Karim again.
Joe Biden's campaign said the president was suffering from a cold, which explains his raspy performance. At 81, questions are being asked about a man who will be 86 at the end of his next term, should he win. According to one analyst, Trump came out on top.
Yeah, this was certainly not the opening debate performance that President Biden wanted, especially the first 15, 20 minutes. Yeah, I think the first 15, 20 minutes would be considered probably the worst performance of a candidate, certainly an incumbent candidate ever. I think that Trump did a good job of trying to some of the highlights of his administration.
At a Democrat watch party in Philadelphia, one Biden supporter said age should not be a factor, be it Biden or 78-year-old Trump.
You know, we can't talk about age because, yes, they are old and, you know, they're not the first one. But, we shouldn't focus, Americans shouldn't focus on the age. They should focus on who has the better plan. And we saw that President Biden truly has the better plan to move this country forward.
The debate was different than previous ones, with each speaker given a certain amount of time and their mics muted when not speaking. At a watch party in Novi, Michigan, one resident said Trump easily won.
He just cannot think on his feet at all. President Trump is just on and he knows exactly what he's talking about. And President Biden just doesn't seem like he's with it at all. He doesn't have any answers.
Both candidates will have another chance to sway public opinion with the next debate, hosted by ABC, scheduled for September 10th. Nazvi Karim, TVB News.
The central government announced an increase in duty-free allowance for mainland tourists in Hong Kong and Macau, rising to 12,000 yuan from its current 5,000 yuan. The two SARs welcomed the measure. Mimo Singhai reports.
Under the latest announcement by mainland authorities, the new duty-free allowance for mainland tourists returning from Hong Kong and Macau will be increased to 12,000 yuan per person. The measure was being pushed by the city's politicians and retail sector in recent months. The allowance will first be implemented on Monday at 6 land ports such as Shenzhen Bay, West Kowloon Station and Lo Hu. The allowance will be applicable to all ports, including the airport, from August 1st. In a statement, the Hong Kong government said it welcomes the measure and thanked the central government for responding to the proposal of the HKSAR government. Chief Executive John Lee said the new policy shows the support of mainland authorities for the city's economic development. Lee also said the new allowance can stimulate mood in the local retail sector. The government expects the 12,000 yuan duty-free allowance to bring an extra $8.8 billion to $17.6 billion in shopping expenses to Hong Kong, generating between $2.7 billion to $5.4 billion worth of value to the economy. Former Chief Secretary Henry Tan, a CPPCC Standing Committee member who proposed to raise the allowance to 30,000 yuan per person during the CPPCC conference in March, described the measure as a good beginning. Tan's view was shared by Hong Kong's sole delegate to the NPC Standing Committee, Starry Lee, who does not think the increase is small. Lawmaker Dominic Lee, who is also a member of the Tourism Strategy Committee, said the percentage increase between the existing and future duty-free allowance is large, while Lee said other factors can affect the desire of tourists, including the quality of service. He believes the new allowance can boost the number of visitors.
I think this increase in the tax allowance and the duty-free allowance, together with all these different activities and all these events that the Hong Kong government is now organizing, it will really make Hong Kong a really attractive place. Hopefully, it will inject energy into our tourism business as well as our economy.
The Hong Kong Retail Management Association said the allowance can have a positive impact on the market. The organization hopes the government can continue to focus on the development needs of the sector. News 9, TVB News.
The Hong Kong Tourism Board will hand out vouchers to overnight visitors starting from July 11th. The vouchers are worth more than $100 million. The vouchers provide offers in different areas, including transport, sightseeing, and dining. Eligible tourists can ride on a Star Ferry water tour for $20, the original price being $280 to $350. They can enjoy discount dining at more than 1,000 food and beverage outlets, $100 off the whole bill when spending $200 or more. The same discount applies to more than 2,700 retail outlets. Financial Secretary Paul Chan said the property market is currently steady, but authorities will ensure an ample supply of land. He stressed that the city's measures on the mega event economy are only meant for the short term, adding that the city will need innovation and technology to propel its economic development. Timothy Lee tells us more.
The upward trajectory of Hong Kong's property market after authorities canceled the property cooling measures has ended last month. Analysts believe the property market may continue to slow down as a result of a combination of a high interest rate environment and the high inventories among property developers. But should the government implement new measures to help the market? Financial Secretary Paul Chan noted it is normal for minor fluctuations in property prices.
最緊要咧就係個樓市咧
The FS stressed the healthy development of the property market should be prioritized and that major price fluctuations should be avoided. He added that the government will continue to focus on ensuring land supply, while saying that authorities will pay close attention to the city's housing supply. Meanwhile, water bills as well as sports facility and university fees are on the rise. Considering the government's over $100 billion budget deficit, some residents have voiced concerns about a new wave of price hikes.
The
financial secretary said the government will avoid increasing the economic burden of residents, adding that authorities will focus on cutting expenses. Speaking on the government's promotion of mega events in the SAR, the FS admitted the mega event economy is only effective in the short term. He noted authorities have plans to nurture new industries, such as those in innovation and technology, for the long-term development of Hong Kong. Chan also commented on comparison between the Hong Kong Investment Corporation and Singapore's investment vehicle Temasek. Chan emphasized the two platforms are completely different. He said the aims of the HKIC are to generate appropriate financial returns and boost the development of the local innovation and technology sector. Timothy Lee, TVB News.
Zheng Yanxiong, director of Beijing's liaison office in Hong Kong, was invited to a luncheon at LegCo by lawmakers. With the 27th anniversary of Hong Kong's handover just around the corner, Zheng said Beijing's commitments to the city will never change. Zheng emphasized the prosperity and stability of the city remains rock solid under the one country, two systems principle. He said the central government will continue to serve as the guardian of the city and give its full support. He stressed the city's further integration into the nation will not result in it being mainlandized. Still ahead, Ukraine signed security deal with the European Union. Iran holds presidential elections. And appreciate the beauty of lavender in Xinjiang. Welcome back. The Kremlin said Russia is considering a downgrading of diplomatic relations with the West due to the deeper involvement of the United States and its allies in the Ukraine war. This as the European Union and Ukraine signed a security agreement. Tracy Furness has more.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, President of the European Commission Ursula von der Leyen, and the President of the European Council Charles Michel signed a document confirming security commitments to Ukraine during the two-day European Council summit in Brussels on Thursday. The agreement encapsulates what the 27-nation bloc of the European Union has been doing in terms of financial, military and other assistance to Ukraine since Russian forces invaded the country in February 2022. The agreement offers long-term commitment to help Kyiv, including once its war with Russia is over. Zelensky also met with NATO Secretary-General Jens Stoltenberg at the alliance's headquarters in Brussels. Zelensky's office confirmed that Ukraine anticipates decisions on enhancing NATO's role in coordinating security assistance, training Ukrainian military personnel, and long-term financial commitments from allies. The meeting comes amid the final preparations for a NATO summit in Washington, D.C. in mid-July.
European Union leaders signed off on a trio of top appointments, nominating Germany's Ursula von der Leyen for a second five-year term as President of the European Commission, the bloc's powerful executive body. At a summit in Brussels, the bloc's 27 national leaders also picked former Portuguese Prime Minister Antonio Costa as President of the European Council and selected Estonian Prime Minister Kaja Kallas as the EU High Representative for Foreign Affairs and Security Policy. Iran held presidential elections today. Iran's Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei cast his ballot in Tehran during the presidential elections. He was one of the first to vote in the country. The snap election is intended to replace the late President Ebrahim Raisi, who was killed in a helicopter crash last month. 3 candidates are running for the top job, including 2 hardliners and 1 reformist. At least 47 Palestinians have been killed in the past 24 hours after Israel's air raids in Gaza City. Amid the latest violence, a group of critically ill children have been evacuated to Egypt. This report from NBC.
Tonight, 20 desperately ill children rescued from Gaza. Most doctors say with treatable cancers, but unable to get chemotherapy and blood transfusions because of the war. Our crew was there as they boarded a bus and ambulances today. Children like 11-year-old Siraj, no longer able to lift a bottle of water, diagnosed 2 months ago with acute lymphoblastic leukemia. His mother says he's losing weight, needs a blood transfusion, is scared and in pain. Unable to walk, he's carried to an ambulance. And 6-year-old Juri, treated for brain cancer at a children's hospital in Gaza until it was bombed. Her mom says losing strength for the lack of medicine and food.
Any interruption of care, even for a few days or a matter of weeks or even hours, could result in death in many of these children.
Since November, NBC News has been tracking this mission exclusively, as the White House, working secretly with Egypt, Israel, Palestinian doctors, and doctors from St. Jude in Memphis, helped save 140 children from Gaza. But that came to a halt when Israel launched its offensive in Rafah on May 6th, closing the only crossing to Egypt. Since then, getting cleared by the warring parties a huge challenge for the children and parents.
These kids have been without the chemo they need. Supplies are not getting in. They couldn't get out.
That's right. And they're obviously at critical stages of their treatment. And they weren't able to get that life-saving, that critical medical attention that they needed for their care. And so now they will.
5-year-old Fayez is traveling with his grandmother, his mom unable to leave. Tonight, they are safe in Egypt, a small ray of light in the darkness of war.
China's Chang'e 6 mission has brought back nearly 2 kilograms of lunar samples collected for the first time in history from the far side of the moon. In a ceremony in Beijing, the head of the China National Space Administration handed over the sample container to a representative of the Chinese Academy of Sciences. The National Space Agency hopes to conduct scientific research on the samples and share its achievements with the international community. The Chang'e 6 probe returned to Inner Mongolia on Tuesday. Sunshine is something that Xinjiang has plenty of, and together with the right climate and soil conditions, Xinjiang is perfect for growing one of the most beloved flowers in the world, lavender. Ili Kazakh Autonomous Prefecture, located in northwestern Xinjiang, is among the top 4 lavender-producing regions globally. So how does the lavender economy help boost local livelihood and tourism? Jackie Lin visited Ili to find out.
This is not Provence in southern France or Hokkaido in Japan. These lavender blossoms are in fields in Yining County, Ili Kazakh Autonomous Prefecture. Located on the same golden latitude as Provence, 43rd North Yining shares the French region's climate and soil conditions. Now the agricultural industrial park Xining Tianshan Huahai is developed into a tourist destination. Between June and July each year, the lavender here is in full bloom. It feels like going to Europe, this Hong Kong tourist said. This 4,000-hectare lavender farm is not just a hotspot for tourists to take pictures and enjoy the view. It also has much economic value. After the lavender's flowering period is over, wheat and corn will be planted at this field. The processing and refinery operations within the park also manufactures essential oil and skincare products with the lavender. A vast view of the rolling plains of green and purple can be seen at the park's hostel, which costs about 1,000 yuan a night, with amusement facilities as well. This visitor said the park is not just great for photo taking, but it has lots of fun things to do. The representative of the park said the site was barren land. Over the past 5 years, they have worked to transform the site into an oasis of prosperity, bringing jobs and income to locals. Last year, they received some 300,000 tourists and generated a combined output value of 330 million yuan. Jackie Lin, TVB News, Ili, Xinjiang.
That's the news. Thanks for watching. A replay of the U.S. presidential debates will be on later tonight at 9:30. Bye for now.